Hey, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Sunday. I am so used to saying, hey, good morning to everybody. It seems so odd. Anyway, happy Sunday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's 12 noon straight up here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, this is kind of an impromptu video. I was actually in the middle of doing some more artwork with myself here. That's what I usually do in the afternoons. A lot of times it's a rainy day. I was working on a piece of art. I'll show it to you in a minute. It's not anything yet. But anyway, I started thinking about the video. I started thinking about Michelangelo, I talked about this morning, and his statue of David, and a principal getting fired for that. And I started thinking about the video I did yesterday, Steven Crowder, the way he berated his wife, his pregnant, 8-month pregnant wife, saying that, asking her how she needs to, if she respects men and how she should act more wifely, you know. And I started thinking about insecure men. Okay, and then as I was painting, like I said, I was actually this painting I just started. I usually do like the first layer, the things farthest away, the sky, and then I let it dry, and then I'll do another layer, like the next thing closest to me, and then so on and so forth. Like the mountains would probably be next. But anyway, I was working on that, and this kept coming back to me, the works of Michelangelo, and there's something about his works that don't seem, that raise a question for me. Okay, like we were talking about the statue of David in this morning's video, and I looked at the creation of David. Oh no, I'm sorry, the creation of Adam, in the Sistine Chapel, where the fingers are touching. You know, it's Adam reaching and touching God's finger. And I looked at that painting and the male body, the male Adam's body, the creation of Adam. The body is just, you know, the way he shows the muscles, the studying, you know, studying the whole musculature, all 206 bones in the human body, and the musculature and the tendons, in order to be able to do that. But there was something that stuck out that bothered me. And yes, it is the size of his schlong, his unit, his man parts, you know. I started thinking about Rubenesque women that are voluptuous, like another painter, Rubens, with the big hips and pendulous breasts, you know, and how I think it's just human nature to be for those things to be appealing, like you know, it has to do with giving birth and being able to carry babies, you know, and the whole reproductive Darwinism and survival of the fittest and all that. And I thought about that. So Michelangelo is showing these two amazing specimens, like Adam and then, you know, the statue of David, except for their man parts. Their man parts are just, especially look at this Sistine Chapel, the creation of Adam. It's minuscule. You know, I'm not going to get into, you could look this up. I'll see if I can find a link. They had average sizes. I got into an argument maybe 6 months back about Native Americans and the average size of their man parts, and they're different. You know, there is a difference in different races, with African Americans and some other groups being at the top, and then Native Americans, then Europeans, and at the bottom Asian people, Asian men. Average size, seriously, but looking at this picture, you know, it's minuscule. It's actually minuscule. And I was thinking about that. You know, Michelangelo, he's an artist, and he's showing like the perfect male body, an appealing, what's it called? A visually appealing, I forgot the word there, but except for that one part. You know, you have small average and you have large average, I'd imagine, right? So I started thinking about this some more. You know, why would he, when you look at these pictures, what do you think? What does it make you feel? To me, it almost makes me feel pity for the man in the picture. It almost does. Like, you know, the poor guy is hung so small, you probably can't even use that thing. And I started thinking about that. Now, what if Michelangelo, I think, you know, if I was going to look at a penis, I would rather look at a good sized, large, you know, if I was going to look at a piece of artwork, you know, like, bravo, that's a sizable piece of man meat you have there. You know, and look, I'm straight and everything, but honestly, what's visually appealing to both men and women? Unless you're insecure, though. I started thinking about this some more. You know, what if he painted like something, you know, flaccid, average size, you know, from average small to average large. What if he painted that? What would that painting look like? What would the statue of David look like? And how would people respond to it? I read another article this morning when I was doing the looking into everything the video this morning, and Queen Victoria, they actually had a fig leaf made with little hooks over she had a reproduction of the statue of David, and she didn't, you know, she frowned on, you know, having his unit visible. So they actually made a little fig leaf that they could hang on the, seriously, I'll see if I can find the link to this. But then I started thinking about the men, you know, the men. What would men think? You know, if Michelangelo, I think he did this to make it safe for the people that viewed it. I think men feel safe as long as, honestly, that they are larger than than what they're viewing. And what better way to make it safe for all men? Because otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sell it. He wouldn't be able to put it out. You know, it wouldn't be as viewable if men were threatened by it. Even back in that society, back in the 1500s, you know, it would be viewed as obscene. That's what they would call it, even though it was just because of the size was a little more normal. But if it was larger, then some of the men's, like especially the men that were thinking of like putting this reproduction in their town square or something, you know, they wouldn't. It's threatening. It's threatening to some people. So by Michelangelo making these minuscule man parts, he makes it more acceptable and less threatening, even back then in the 1500s, to the people that were going to view it. You know, you almost, honestly, I really mean this. When I look at the statue of David, I mean, you know, I am envious, honestly, when I see the arms and the shoulders and the stomach and everything. The first thing I think is envy. I wish I had a body like that. I do. That's my first feeling, honest feeling. You know, but when I look down below, I feel a sense of, pity, you poor guy. You know, I mean, what does, you know, can you even impregnate, you know, is it even functional, you know? And I think this was on purpose. So, I think about this morning's video with the principal being fired. And the statue of David, you know, and I think if my theory is correct, that it was purposely minuscule so that people wouldn't get offended. Men wouldn't be offended, you know, or threatened by a man part that's larger than their own. And they were still threatened, or they use the excuse of the children. Well, God forbid the children see this, but a lot of times I think this is the way they're viewing it. They viewed it as pornographic or threatening. And so, I mean, what does that say about the men in Tallahassee, around the Tallahassee school in Florida? What does that say about them if they actually found this minuscule man part threatening? Like I said, and I don't understand this toxic masculinity. It must be insecurity. And when I say insecurity, I don't mean that this person has to have small man parts. I think there's guys with large man parts that still could be insecure. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying it's just people that are just men that are just insecure about themselves. It's really not about the actual, what they're actually equipped with. It's the way they view themselves. That's what I think I'm getting at here. And with Steven Crowder, I mean, why would any man act like that? Why would any man tell his pregnant wife, you know, that she's got to act more respect, you know, she's got to respect men more? Why? I mean, it's so unfathomable to me. There has to be, you know, there's always got to be a motivation for the way people act. And the only thing I could figure is that he's insecure in his masculinity. I think he's afraid that women might be laughing behind his back. Every woman, almost every woman that I've ever dated has brought up size. My size. I'm not going to say large or small or anything. That's not about me. But it has brought up size. Women talk about it. That's a fact. You know, and they talk to their girlfriends about it. And And I think men know that. And this is a way to control them, because I think men like Steven Crowder or the people that fired this principal are insecure. They're insecure and they look to control women because they feel that they might be being laughed at behind their back or mocked. And this is a way to keep women in line. I think it all goes back to not the size of the man's unit, but how the man perceives his own masculinity. I hope this all made sense. I got to get back to my artwork. You guys have a great Sunday.